Hi mamas, Erica here with SpoiledYogi.com. I am sitting with Amber Allen, who is the development coordinator with Postpartum Support Charleston, which is a local nonprofit organization here in Charleston, South Carolina, that offers lots of helpful resources for moms in the postpartum and actually pregnant stage as well. So I thought it would be really cool to sit down with her and just kind of go over some of those offerings and talk a little bit more about postpartum and prenatal, perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So Amber, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm totally like playing TV reporter, which makes me so happy. So if you see me get giddy about like pointing the microphone back and forth, that's why. Anyway, we are going to be talking about the whole spectrum of perinatal depression and anxiety disorders. Amber, tell me a little bit about what you do for Postpartum Support Charleston.
Great. So, as Erica said, I'm the development coordinator. And what I do is I help work with moms when they first come to our organization. We have a warm line that moms can contact if they live in the Tri-County area, which is Charleston, Dorchester, and Berkeley County. You can text the phone number, you can call the phone number. We also have an email address, contact@ppdsupport.org. And I'm pretty much the intake person whenever someone contacts our organization. We deal with moms who are pregnant or postpartum and either suffering from depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD, and in very, very, very rare circumstances, psychosis. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. We have free support groups, in-person support groups in Somerville and West Ashley right now. We're kind of retooling our support group in North Charleston, so we'll have more information about that in the next couple of weeks. We also offer mom mentorship, one-on-one, either via text, phone call, in-person meetup with another volunteer who has experienced similar symptoms from the mom that's going through it right now. Because we've found that a lot of moms are, when they talk to their OB or whoever their healthcare provider is, that they are given suggestions for medication and therapy, which are really, really great options, but it may not be the best choice for the mom. We offer free peer support because there's nothing more powerful than knowing that someone else has experienced similar symptoms and that you're not the only person who has ever felt this way.
So we will make sure in the description below to put links to all of those things that Amber just mentioned, so you don't have to get out your notepad and write it down as you're watching. But yeah, I think it's so important for moms to realize that so many moms go through this in some form or another. Amber is a 2-time postpartum depression survivor. And I've talked about this before. Some of you may already know I had some major anxiety problems after the birth of my second daughter and during the pregnancy too, for sure. So it is something that is near and dear to my heart to make sure that all of you moms know that there is somewhere that you can go to get help if you need it, that there's no shame in going to get help if you need it, and that man or woman, so many of us have been there, and it can just be so helpful to realize that and to talk to someone else who can be like, girl, that's exactly what happened to me, and I'm okay now, and you're going to be okay too, yeah. Right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how common this really is, Amber.
Sure. So the statistics kind of vary. We're hearing 1 in every 7 moms, sometimes even 1 in every 5 moms. So that's 15 to 20% of all women who give birth will experience some form of perinatal mood or anxiety disorder. So that kind of encaptures pregnancy and postpartum, depression, anxiety, OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, and psychosis. One thing that I was really surprised to learn when I was undergoing my peer-led support training is that postpartum depression also can involve rage and anger. That is something that I really experienced when my children were younger. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old now. And I experienced kind of the run-of-the-mill depression symptoms of feeling very sad all the time, feeling like I couldn't get everything done, that I was this terrible mother. But I was also really angry all the time, and it really I really felt guilty all the time because I was so angry at this little baby that I was supposed to love and cherish. So there are some moms who do have postpartum depression, but that don't follow the classic symptoms of depression, but they do have rage and anger. And then there's anxiety, and I feel like anxiety has really been normalized in motherhood. I tell moms that if you suspect that you're experiencing postpartum anxiety, like, you can't compel yourself to go to the grocery store because you're terrified of what might happen, or you can't make yourself cross that bridge because you're terrified of what might happen. If it's interfering in your life, preventing you from doing the things that you need to do, that's when you kind of need to seek help. But yeah, it is so common, and so many moms feel so ashamed to admit that they're not loving every second of motherhood. And the vast majority of us moms, it is impossible for us to love every moment.
Yeah. No one loves every moment, even if they don't have any of this going on.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to say that.
Yeah.
But it is really, really interesting how it can look so many different ways for so many different people. I have told my story before. Now is a good time to tell it again, I guess. But I had such anxiety after my second was born, and I didn't realize that it was a problem until she was 13 months old. So it can be, they say usually up to a year afterward, but honestly, I think I was suffering kind of without realizing it from the time my daughter was like 2 months old. It just took me that long to get help, and that's so unnecessary.
And very, very common.
Yeah.
Very common.
Yeah, but one of the things that was most shocking to me when I started thinking, oh, maybe I do have some postpartum anxiety, was reading about the different symptoms, and it could be, scared to go to the grocery store because of germs or whatever. Mm-hmm. But also a lot of women have these thoughts of like, what if I just threw my baby down the stairs? And they don't want to tell anybody that because what kind of who thinks that about a precious little baby that they do love and adore, even though they may not feel like they love and adore it all the time. So I think it's important to mention that it can look in a lot of different ways, and it may not even seem like anxiety either. Yeah. It may just seem like these weird off-the-wall thoughts, and a lot of moms don't know that that's characterized as anxiety, I guess.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. So the thoughts that you describe are what's called intrusive thoughts. And they're thoughts that kind of swim around in your brain that you can't quite get rid of, and they scare you. Doesn't mean that you're going to act on it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's...
Hopefully no one acts on that.
Right. So... And when I said that I wanted to come back to psychosis, this is kind of like the great way to this is my in here. So the difference between postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis, and psychosis, it only occurs in approximately 2% of all cases. Psychosis is when those intrusive thoughts don't scare you. and you start to associate them with reality. So it's when you're hearing thoughts or you're hearing things, auditory hallucinations, you're seeing things. In those cases, it requires immediate hospitalization because you need to be stabilized before you can proceed with the treatment of getting better. And we do have volunteers in our organization who have experienced postpartum psychosis, and they are healthy, wonderful women giving back to our organization. So it doesn't mean that you're a terrible mother. Perinatal mood and anxiety disorders occur because of hormonal imbalances in a woman's body that you have no control over. So it's nothing that you're doing wrong. It just happens. And sometimes it also, sometimes piled on top of it are external factors, such as financial difficulties that you may be having, or problems with your spouse, your partner. Health problems, absolutely. So those things just complicate it and make it more likely to occur. But these perinatal mood and anxiety disorders are very, very, very treatable. But it's unfortunate that so many women either wait too long, like Erica, to seek help, or they never seek help. Yeah.
So for our audience who may not be local, what are some good resources that you recommend for someone who thinks, oh, maybe I have this issue and I need to get ahead of it and get some help before, I've suffered for way too long?
So two organizations that I always recommend to moms who don't live in the Charleston area is 2020 Mom. If you Google them, they just have tons of information, resources, so you can learn more and just do some more digging before you go and talk to your healthcare provider. If you are looking for support outside of the Charleston area, I recommend Postpartum Support International. We're not affiliated with this organization, but we highly recommend it. They have resources in every 50 states and internationally. They have a hotline that you can call. They have services in Spanish. It's just, and I do think they also have resources for dads as well. So dads can lean on each other and know how best to support their spouse.
So aside from what people know in terms of getting on medication, going to therapy, support groups, the things that you do with Postpartum Support Charleston, what are some other more holistic methods of coping? Can you talk about if there's anything else that maybe moms could try to help them just feel better in general? Maybe they have a touch of depression or anxiety, but it's not overwhelming and interfering with their life in the way that you were just talking about.
So I think the first thing that comes to mind is just finding a community. When you become a mom and you have a newborn or a very small infant, motherhood can be so isolating because you are at the mercy of your child's naps. So if you already have friends who have babies, just try to make regular play dates with that mom. Just make sure you get out of the house every day. Go to a coffee shop or go to Erica's yoga class or any yoga class.
Or you can join a group online too. So like it can be hard to get out of the house, and if the best you can do is get onto a Facebook group and ask a question, ask for support there, that's better than nothing.
Right. Also, meditation is incredibly helpful, especially for racing thoughts. When you just feel like you can't turn off your brain, you can seek out a nutritionist because sometimes it's just a matter of tweaking your diet or making sure you're getting plenty of vitamins and minerals in your daily diet. That can sometimes make the difference. So trying the holistic stuff is great for first options. And then if that's not working, then it's time to seek additional help.
And I've talked about this before too, but there's this, especially within the yoga community and natural parenting kind of groups, sometimes we can give it even more of a stigma because we want to do all of those natural things first when, maybe you need to shortcut it and go straight to the getting real help, whether that's medication or therapy or whatever it is. Just there's no reason to drag it out for as long as I did, trying all those natural kind of dietary, yoga, meditation, the gamut of things, supplements, if it's just not working. So try it for a couple weeks, sure. If you still are having these, thoughts and things that won't go away, there's no shame at all in doing what you need to do to get yourself to a better place. And you can always go back to all of those natural remedies and things when you're in a better place, and they'll be a lot more effective then too.
Oh yeah, I have something to say about that.
I thought you might.
Yeah. So that really resonated with me because I'm also a trained yoga teacher, felt very passionately about how I wanted motherhood to look for me and how I wanted to practice it in the community. And so when postpartum depression hit me, when I wasn't able to breastfeed, that really contributed to my guilt and my shame that motherhood was not looking like I thought it was going to be. In my own personal postpartum depression experience, the first time around, I really relied on talk therapy for the first year, which is something that I was able to utilize at my convenience when I was having these low moments. But it took longer. I would say 100% that it was effective. It just took longer for me to feel better. The second time around with my son, my daughter was 3 and my son was 5 months when I decided that I admitted that I was going through it again. And I didn't really have the luxury of time that I had with my first, so I did decide to take an antidepressant. And that was an extremely scary decision for me because I had never taken an antidepressant before. And I had I'm this yogi, I'm this green mom, but it was the best decision that I ever made for myself because I knew that it was a temporary thing for me. I took it for about 13 months. I waited until it was springtime when there was more light outside, when it was warmer. I didn't want to wean myself off during the winter time. And I was just in a different place. My kids were older. I was more capable of handling being a mom of 2. And I always tell moms who feel very similarly in they're fearful of taking medication is that if you equate this to you have a heart condition or you have diabetes, you're not going to not take your medicine. Right. Because this is an effective tool to help you lead a happy and productive life.
And it is a physical issue, just like a heart disorder, or is a heart disorder a thing? Just like a heart condition or a thyroid imbalance or something like that. It is a physical thing. It's not just a mental thing. It's a chemical imbalance. Yeah. So if that makes you feel any better about it, not that we're pushing the medication, right, but just know it's an option and it's a good option. Yeah. And it really helped me too. Yeah. So
we're 2 yogis who have taken medication.
I'm still taking mine. So there you go. Amber, thank you so much for being my first Oprah-style interview.
You are so welcome.
I'm going to try to do more of these. So if you are interested in these kinds of topics that are so important to all pregnant and new moms, don't forget to take a few minutes, hit the subscribe button down below, leave a comment. Let us know. Maybe you're someone who has a similar story like Amber and I do, having dealt with depression or anxiety before or after the birth of your baby. Let us know about that in the comments. And I'm just really excited to be able to have this community and this forum to talk about issues that we really should be talking about a lot more, I think, in the just parenting community at large. So thank you so much for being a part of it and for helping us spread more awareness.
Thank you.
See you next time.